Did the title of this episode catch your eye, or catch your ear, rather? If it did, then I've appealed to the right person, the firm owner or the person in charge of your firm's marketing who wants to make the most of your time, of your efforts, of your marketing dollars. And wouldn't we all like to make our marketing count so that it reaches our potential ideal clients without having to break the budget or spend hours upon hours creating content? The most important piece of any content that you put out, or anything digital that you put out for that matter, your website included, is the headline. It's the first piece, it's the first thing that potential clients see or hear when they interact with your firm's online marketing content. And today we're gonna dig into that, how to make your firm's marketing count using headlines. Stay tuned. Giving architects and landscape architects the tools and strategies to be seen, heard, and valued in the marketplace, and telling the stories of leaders building thriving design firms and attracting their ideal clients. This is From Architecture to Profitecture. I'm your host, Jay Krakowski. Let's get started. Fellow and future Profitex, hello. How are you? Welcome to this week's show. We're talking about how to make those dollars and hours of marketing your design firm count, specifically talking about the headline. There are so many elements, obviously, that go into marketing your design firm. Yes, it's photography. Yes, it's graphics. Yes, it is copy. It's emails. It's Instagram captions. It's hashtags. It's all that good stuff. But if the headline, if that first sentence that they read doesn't grab their attention, doesn't stop the scroll, so to speak, they'll be moving on. They're going to click away from your website. They're going to keep scrolling that Instagram feed, and they're certainly not going to click see more to read anything more about what you have to say, even if the picture of the project is beautiful. The headline is going to be the thing that pulls them in and makes them read more. It's all in the headline. And the headline's job, it's not to promote your design services specifically. It's not to tell the entire story of that signature project that you have photographed on your website or in your social media. Rather, the headline's job is to sell the rest of the copy below that, or the text further down on your webpage, or again, the clicking on the see more little button there to read more of your caption on Instagram or Facebook or what have you. So we need to be very intentional and get very specific when it comes to the headlines. When it comes to the tagline that's on the top of your website, I liken that to a headline on an article or on a blog post. And there's a lot of information out there regarding headlines that can almost lean towards the clickbaity arena, which I'm absolutely not a fan of. I don't think any of us should be using that. But I do see a huge room for improvement. The biggest culprit is in our emails. When you get that email that says our March 2021 newsletter, what client wants to read that? One potential client makes them jump out of their chair, say, "Oh, thank goodness, the newsletter has arrived." Nobody, not a single one, except maybe your mother, as people often like to say. They're always happy to see your emails, right? Nobody's interested to open the email just based on that. They may or may not delete it. Hopefully, they don't move it to junk, but they're certainly gonna say, "Well, I'll get to it later when I have time," and they never come back to it. And the same thing goes for social media posts, especially when you don't have anything in the caption. When the caption is just the name of the project or the city that the project's in, it doesn't evoke any emotion, doesn't draw in the reader to either scroll to the side on your carousel or to watch a video of any length. If those first few words, and it is just the first few words, don't grab them, you lose them. I know as far as looking at an overall website, you've got about 8 seconds to capture someone's attention. I think on social media, it's more like 3, which as I've said in previous content, is less than the attention span of a goldfish. God help us when trying to marketing our design firms here. But we really have so little time online to allow the client to make that decision, the correct decision, to keep learning more about us, to come into our world, rather for us to bring them in, invite them into our world, and open the door for a potential working relationship down the road. And today's going to be a quick episode, but I do want to go through the top 5 things that all of our headlines or taglines need to include. And there's a hint there. The top 5 things that could be a whole series of posts for your design firm, whether that's social media or blogs or YouTube videos, what have you. Yes, they sound a little cheesy, I know, but they work. They just work. Top 10 ways, top 5 ways, they just work. Or the secrets behind ABC XYZ of residential construction. Yeah, they can be a little cheesy, I understand, but they work. They work over and over, time after time. But I want to go through the 5 big picture ideas that we can start to include in our email subject lines, in the tops of our Instagram and Facebook captions, in the opening statements of our videos and or podcasts. Number 5 is that headlines need to establish credibility. Now, headline doesn't need to come out and say we are the best firm in Milwaukee. No, I mean, you need to, but by establishing credibility, I mean you are displaying a level of understanding that your reader, your viewer, your audience, that you understand where they're coming from, that you can stand in their shoes, and you can be the guide to lead them through the design and construction process. Authority is a really powerful way to grab attention, and if your headline includes some surprising metric that you were able to achieve, whether that's something to do with construction scheduling or money saved by implementing whatever elements of your design you implemented, it establishes you as an authority right off the bat, and hopefully those clients are eager to learn more about you, to read more of that article or that blog post. Number 4 is, and a big one for that big bold sentence on the top of your website would be to communicate the big idea. Every piece of content, honestly, should have a big idea behind it that goes out. Our website should have a big idea that communicates not just what we do, but who we're doing it for, perhaps how we do it, how we achieve, how we solve problems. Find the big idea, find the true benefit that a reader or listener is going to achieve by consuming your content. What's in it for me? WIIFM is a big acronym to keep in mind, and that goes for everything, as opposed to just putting your expertise out there in their face. Say, we've done this, we do this, we can handle this. That's great. But if that potential client, if that audience or viewer, if that's not exactly what they're looking for, they're going to tune out. Again, after somewhere between 3 and 8 seconds, they're going to tune out. Rather, if there's a bigger idea of the change you want to see in the world, or the values of your staff, or the values that you like to see in your clients, if that's underlying in the specific words that you choose in your headline, that's a leg up on most. You want to communicate the deeper values and insights that you have as a design professional. So that's being very specific in the adjectives. Really is what it boils down to, is adjectives. This is all about copywriting today. In the adjectives that we choose to get that sense across, whether that's excitement or expertise, or do you want to convey more serious research, whatever that is, you want the big idea to ring true right from the start, so that the right audience member online, they're willing to learn more, and it also turns off others, and we'll get to that in just a second. Number three, the headline needs to stop the scrollers, the skimmers, and the scanners. I'm taking those terms directly from Ray Edwards, who's a great copywriting fellow, or just recently been learning from. Whether they're on their phone or they're holding their mouse or stylus in their hand, you want them to pay attention just for those few seconds to get engaged. And again, I'll say it again, the headline's job is not to make the sale. It's not to, in one sentence, say, oh, I've got to work with this firm because of the 7 words they chose. No, it's just, you want to make them stop and think and be curious. So scrolling is, the scrollers rather, that's pretty self-explanatory, where Instagram's the biggest culprit, and I'm guilty of it too, after work hours. But you not only want the photograph, but the words, those first couple lines in your caption to be working for you as well. Better yet, if you can put words into the image, that's kind of a double whammy, right? That's an even better way to stop them. Now, I know what's so prevalent in architecture and landscape architecture is to just have the purest photograph you can have, crystal clear, beautiful lighting, no people in a lot of cases. But if someone's looking for just design ideas, they're going to be scrolling through how many hundreds or thousands of photos. And you need to have words that immediately grab their attention to stop that scroll. Now, the skimmers are ones who they may start to read your caption. They may start to read that blog post, but they're just going to go through it. They're going to jump really quickly to try to get a sense of anything that jumps out at them. And this starts to play into the graphic design, yes, even of Instagram captions. On are there headlines? Are there sub headlines with white space in between that will get them to stop skimming and say, hey, I think I missed something here. I need to go back to the top and start again. I thought it was interesting. So that's obviously the whole point of a headline, is that it needs to evoke emotion and stir up some curiosity, so to stop them from moving on to the next thing. And I mentioned this briefly. Number two, mentioned it briefly earlier, that your headline should screen and qualify the audience. It's okay if your headline turns people away, turns them off, makes them not want to work with your firm. That's actually an okay thing, because if you were to be creating content, and I've said this on previous episodes, creating content for everybody, you're speaking to nobody, and you're getting everyone in the door who probably wouldn't be a good fit for your firm in the long run. So it's okay for headlines to be polarizing. They really should be. It will invite those ideal clients in, say, oh, that's the guy, that's the gal for me. And it's going to turn some away too, and that's okay. That's okay, because that starts to build your tribe. That starts to build that list of referrals, certainly, and testimonials that you're happy to share on your website and on social media and in email campaigns, because there's such a synergy of values there. So that's a big element of headlines. And number one, of course, is to grab their attention. What's kind of the underlying piece to all this is that there's so much information overload out there, and not just on social media, but in regular print advertising, even certainly in your email inbox, and in doing a Google search for architecture firms. If folks are doing that, that's how the slight majority of folks find me currently. What's going to make you stand out? When they load up those tabs, and they're doing it, they're loading up all the tabs across Google Chrome or whatever browser they're using, of the 5 or 10 or 47 different architecture firms in your location. That headline, that first bit of text that they see above the fold, as they say, the top part of your website, it's gonna make or break whether they scroll down, whether they click on the About Us page or the team page or the projects page. But you have to get them to stop, and by grabbing their attention. And there's a couple of ways to do that. You can either make a promise or a claim, especially in the case of social media or blog posts. Make a claim about the AEC industries. Make a claim about a related industry. Make have some claim, and it can be a slightly wild claim about how you think projects should proceed or should not proceed. There's the idea of evoking emotion again, and this comes down to the adjectives we use. Do you want to quote unquote prey on their fears and frustrations? No, but it needs to acknowledge that quite often a lot of our clients are frustrated. Things, and one example that comes to mind is, things in our industries have been good for so long, relatively speaking. They've been so good for so long, not talking about the 12 months ago, that hiccup in the shutdown, but work is, it's really hard to find a contractor in a relatively short amount of time. And I am hearing the exact same for design professionals. Actually, just yesterday, someone was shocked that I returned a call within 24 hours, or was able to meet within a couple weeks, as opposed to pushing out to the summer. So there's a level of frustration with potential clients out there. So if you can start to empathize with that, empathize with their emotion, amplify it a little bit, but then start to hint at you have the solution for them, that's going to certainly grab their attention. I talked about stirring up curiosity. What are some facts that most people just don't know, who aren't in your firm or aren't in your local market or aren't in your industry? How can you make them curious to read more? And a lot of this might get into those top 5 or top 10 posts, so to speak. But curiosity is a big one. Get them interested in clicking, see more of that caption, or reading more of the blog post. And then, the last part of this grabbing their attention is putting directly out there that what's in it for me, WIIFM. If you can lead with that, what's in it for me, you're delivering value right off the bat. And I know delivering value is such an overused term in marketing these days, but be standing in their shoes and be appealing to their self-interest, because that's the position that they're coming from. They're not looking to be thrown at collective years of experience and here's 87 pictures of every project we've ever done. That's great and all, but that's not necessarily what they're looking for. They're not looking for a copy of a project. They're not looking for 127 combined years of experience. They're looking for a solution to their problems. So appealing to their self-interest right off the bat is critical. So with those 5 elements of a headline, none of them work, and I'm just continuing what I was just saying here, none of them work unless you're focused on the audience, unless you're focused on where that client is right now in their head. And they could be just starting to ask the question, do I need an architect for my project? Do I need a landscape architect for this project? Or are there other ways I can handle it? They may just be trying to understand what we do, or they might be down to the point of I need to hire someone in the next month. So I'm specifically searching for architecture firms in Milwaukee. You need to be where they are mentally. In terms of even the words they're saying. What conversations are they having with their coworkers? What conversations are they having with their husband and wife when they go home? What's keeping them up at night? What's giving them stress about their business or the setup of their home? You want to be standing in their shoes, and that's where you should be approaching anything that you write, certainly, but absolutely the headline. And the last point I want to leave you with is, especially in email subject lines, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, nobody wants to read our March 2021 newsletter is here. It's a sleeper. Don't be afraid to be conversational and even ask questions in your headline. Start a conversation with an imaginary person by asking questions. That's how I started this show. Did this headline grab your attention? I'm talking to a circular piece of glass right now. I know I'm talking to you, the watcher, you, the listener right now, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. But even in an email subject line, pretend like you're having a conversation with your email list and with each and every person on your email list. Don't be afraid to throw a casual sentence or sentence fragments even as an email subject line. Ask questions at the start of your Instagram or your Facebook posts. as opposed to just saying, this is a project that we completed in Milwaukee. I mean, we need to step up our game. We really do, in terms of those first few words that someone sees. It makes all the difference in whether they stick around or not to learn more about you. And I'm going to leave you with a quote of the week from Ray Edwards, who I've just been learning from here. Change your words, change the world. He is so passionate about copywriting. I would suggest you even look him up. He's done a lot of work for some pretty big name titans of industry and entrepreneurs and all that. But words matter. And in the online space, we have so little time, like microseconds, to capture people's attention. It can't just be about those portfolio pictures. Because if there's not emotion behind it, if there's not a bigger message behind that, drawing them in, starting a conversation, not just spitting out your list of services and your beautiful photography, that's what's going to set you apart in your market. That's what's going to lead you to success in the long term. Well, thank you for listening today. Hop over to Apple Podcasts and leave me a review if you would, or on Spotify. And anything else you would like to learn from me, guests you'd like to see on the show, drop me a DM at Jake Krakowski, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. And until next week, go out and make it a great week, because our success is inevitable. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you stay up to date with future episodes. Connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn at Jake Krakowski. And for show notes and much more, visit profitecturebydesign.com/podcast.